Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na Thursday, number 15 day for this number 9 month for the year 2022. My name na Capo Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief and the spokesman of the Ambazonia Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King, our own countryman. Wanna welcome to this our daily podcast.
The West Cameroon Development Agency, the West Cameroon Produce Marketing Board, the Santa Coffee Estate, Cameroon Bank.
This one na our daily podcast, a program where they bring una meaningful information, the truth, fact-based analysis for help we as we do waka for this journey to our freedom, the independence of Ambazonia. Background music na Zion Choir from the great state of Bui.
Association where we the dignities of Southern Cameroon John
Great people of Ambazonia. We start today with messages of curse and threat that are coming from one of Ambazonian traditional leader who based in Yaoundé in exile. As you know, fellow citizens, since the Ambazonian uprising in 2016, where our population rose up as one man across Ambazonia, marched up to their Fawn's palaces and demand an end to political participation and inform their Fawns, their traditional rulers, and those parliamentarians and senators that they don't want any political participation again in La République du Cameroon, that all our political leaders should withdraw and return home for an independent homeland in Ambazonia. Some traditional rulers who chooses their own stomach over their population ran away into Yaoundé and live in exile since the creation of the House of Thieves by the Cameroon colonial administration. They used to sneak into our territory, attend these meetings to collect their money and go back into La République du Cameroon where they belong. For the number 8th time where this House of Thieves gather in the name of the Ambazonian House of Chiefs created by La République. The second in command, the secretary number 2 there, the fund of Angem people in Womb in Menchum State, Chief Bambi Matthias Njo III, have come out to make statement after their meeting saying that there will be a curse upon all those who have picked up arms to fight against Cameroon. His statement did not go unanswered, as Ambazonians from Angem have come up swinging at the fund. One of the sons of Angem, Ngum Waters, have written in a newspaper. He says, the ancestor will first strike them for walking on the blood of their children for political glory. Any curse they rain on the people will fall back on them, he wrote. One Ndifo, Nathan, also expresses himself on an online platform, saying that traditional leaders have failed to speak and defend their people. Like sheep, they have followed the government instead of standing and sending their ancestors behind them. Others, they should plead with their ancestors to be able to grant them passageway to be able to visit the village in peace. The so-called House of Chief is a scam, far from what we used to have in Ambazonia, where our legislature had powers. The House of Chiefs was a legislative body with political powers and powers to make laws. This one is just a sham and a legalized form of corruption for our chiefs to abandon the cause of their people. Noticeably, in this 8th session, the fund of Mancon, the new king in the Mancon Palace, did not attend. He has followed the footsteps of Fonabumbi of Bafut, one of the biggest palaces we have in Ambazonia, who have refused to participate in this political sham against the will and aspiration of their people. The least funds could do is to remain apolitical. We want to seize this opportunity to congratulate all the funds that still live in Ambazonia in peace amongst their people, all the funds that stands with their people to remain neutral. The funds palace in Bafut have been burnt down. UNESCO World Heritage areas have been destroyed by the Cameroon government to punish the Faun's palace and the Faun for standing up for the rights of his people. Is the Faun not still alive? Has he lacked food to eat? Doesn't he live in peace with his own people in Bafut? That should be a light and a shining example to all traditional rulers across Ambazonia. Stand with your people. Do not walk on the blood of your children. You get drunk with the spirit of your ancestors who will never, never for once accept treason or the pursuit of bribery and corruption in an alien government that seeks to subjugate our people using terrorism tactics. While in the Atlantic state, in Muyuka, the Ambazonian Governing Council Transitional Authority have visited certain sites to verify the state of Cameroon colonial government school that have been banned. In one of the video presentation to the Governing Council,
there is no school going on here. This is the gate. Everything is in bush. People have used the school compound to plant their corns and their cassava.
In the video footages submitted to us, the GBHS Muyuka have been completely abandoned by Ambazonian in response to our call for the complete ban of Cameroon government school. The school campus have been turned into a farmyard where people grew cassava and cocoa. This is the state of many schools across our national territory. Cameroon have been defeated. They no longer have administrative officers in over 80% of Ambazonia. There have been 100% boycott of Cameroon government school in Muyuka, as we have advised our people and authorized community schools to open up their doors. Those Rook soldiers, the soldiers of the IG, who have abandoned their political leadership, who have been misled to declare lockdown on Ambazonia, are pursuing a foolish path to nowhere. They should allow all community schools should go on as usual. Last week, we had opposed it and instructed our civilians to go out. They have gone out, and these soldiers have been forced to kill innocent civilians. That is a demonstration of foolishness and cowardness. We still appeal to the soldiers to allow our community school should go ahead without further obstructions. How many Ambazonian soldiers have died, the ones in Bui and across our territory, for such senseless and unjustifiable actions? Our policy is sustainable. It is the only way forward, and we are asking on all IG factions, political factions, to accept and endorse the Ambazonian Governing Council policy for education as the only way forward. That will pave a way for senseless soldiers to understand and accept this as the norms and the laws of the land. The biggest confusion we have had in Ground Zero amongst the psychology of soldiers is the fact that the IG till today is still confused about a policy for education, and we call on them to do the right thing and the responsible thing to support initiatives even when it does not come from them. We must learn to collaborate, especially when we have different opinions. When there is one initiative that is ongoing, it is our responsibility to support them and to consider them seriously. Education is an inalienable right to our people, and those who seek to completely stop education in Ambazonia and will use any excuse to do so should understand that they are wrong, their calculations are wrong. Our people are the driving force of our liberation struggle. For the most part, the vast majority of Ambazonia wants independence and are ready, and I will continue to fight against La République du Cameroun. And every time we do not understand this and we seek to use force on our own people, we will go on the wrong side of history. Today we have seen in Bamenda, Cameroon terrorists taking advantage to accompany vehicles that are leaving Bamenda because our people do not accept this lockdown. They are still traveling, they are still going about their day-to-day business. Now, we see colonial forces escorting vehicles out of Bamenda. This is a very shameful thing, and it hurts so bad to see that the enemy is now escorting our people, pretending to be their protectors, when we know these are the killers of our people. We are calling on those who have given a blank check and some sort of legitimacy to these senseless soldiers to desist from doing so and think about the unintended consequences of allowing rogue soldiers to go about carrying guns without any ideology or any political supervision or political guidelines. That is a recipe for disaster. We have suffered enough. We have experimented enough. It is time for us to accept the reality of our struggle. We are a diverse people. The only form of unity that will happen in Ambazonia that can be effective is a unity by collaboration. And that is what we will continue to preach, to collaborate with everybody for a common cause, with everybody doing their own thing for a common purpose, collaborating, sharing information with each other rather than competing for domination. We should be competing for liberation. In other news coming from abroad, the leadership of the Ambazonian Governing Council, headed by Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, and the leadership of the APLM, headed by Ebenezer Akwanga, have had a series of meetings in London, the United Kingdom. In the summit between the APLM and the Ambazonian Governing Council, measures to collaborate between the SOCADEF and the ADF was discussed, with follow-up meetings scheduled and joint meetings between the general that leads SOCADEF, General Transporter, and General Efang of the Ambazonian Defense Forces was effectuated. During the summit, according to statement released by the President of the Ambazonian Governing Council in concert with the President of the APLM, it reads as follows. During the AGOFC APLM summit in London, we had a call briefing from the Swiss envoy. Paul Biya has informed the Swiss president that Cameroon is not interested in facilitated negotiation. The Swiss intentions has now come to an end. We thank Ambassador Bachelet. Ambazonians now have been clarified. This phone call have brought a lot of clarity, with statement made by Paul Biya himself directly to the president of Switzerland, and there should be no doubt about it. For me personally, I reflect back on Xiao Mao, one Ambazonian brave hero who died in combat with La République du Cameroun colonial forces. In my last conversation with Xiao Mao, when late Christian Kadinatumi was arrested, in my discussion with him at that point, he was telling me where Unarambi left behind, they could go them for Switzerland, and then go talk for La République. Sako go talk for Paul Biya. Now Sako go lead negotiation for Switzerland with Paul Biya. Xiao Mao, a brave soldier, have died believing in this lie. You have other organizations such as reputable organization as Morisk of Bo Herbert have become entangled with this Swiss process to the extent that they have abandoned their activism for Ambazonia and their programs that they used to educate our people. The Ambazonian calling. Everybody have been running over each other to go to Switzerland to secure their own place on the negotiation table. This is very sad. And we know all along that there was no negotiation engagement by the Cameroon state. Imagine what we have lost for nothing. The European Union, through the efforts of the Ambazonian Governing Council and our lobbyist partners, and our parliamentarians in the Basque region who support Ambazonian self-determination, have engaged and successfully had the European Union to support the European Institute of Peace to help facilitate a process that could potentially push Cameroon into a negotiated settlement that will be backed by the international community, championed by the European Union. These efforts were all sabotaged and came to an end because of this Swiss HD engagement with some Ambazonian leaders. They didn't come and advocate for this platform. They came with lies, manipulation, Sako claiming how La République have engaged and promised to engage despite the fact that we know that he was being played and was being offered financial benefits for such endeavors, things which were clear that as an effort by Cameroons to buy time to continue changing the narrative and to continue to corner the international community. We have had warnings from multiple international partners, multiple speakers, notably Ambassador Thibault Nagy, who came out and told Ambazonians that it was just an issue to buy time. Still, some Ambazonians, they still follow this scam and these lies. Irrespective of this, we have to know that there are consequences when you follow a delusion and a lie. It leads you to nowhere why people die. You prolong the suffering and killing of our people. For what reason? Ego, jealousy, hatred, or just sheer wicked black man syndrome expressing itself in various ways. The Swiss deal and the Swiss engagement is a deep scar in the conscience of Ambazonia. For the years that we have been fighting this thing, explaining this thing, telling the truth to our people, and all those who have been standing to preach it should come to apologize to the Ambazonian people for the lie they told our people. And this should be an eye-opener for all the ARF or the IG fighters who are now rebranding themselves just like the IG did in the diaspora. They want to make the Zaria mafia on ground zero, calling themselves speaking for ground zero commanders and generals. They should learn from example. When people are wrong, if you keep on following something that is wrong just because you think it is popular or you think you might be the majority, think about the end and the disaster you will cause along the way. Ambazonians must be sensible. There will be no manna coming again from heaven. The era of manna had gone. How long we stayed in this desert will depend on our ability to follow common sense and sensible policies and principles that are based on actuality and reality, not delusion. You can see how the IG and Chris Ano have become a mockery for Ambazonia. It is so sad to watch somebody with his small group of friends electing him as a so-called president of Ambazonia. It is really laughable and it's really sickening. But that is what it is. It is a sideshow to distract Ambazonia. We must not allow the foolishness and stupidity of a few individuals who are strong-headed to define the path of an entire territory, the sovereignty of Ambazonia. We should stand up for truth. We should shun and shame falsehood and know that no lie lasts forever and no people will be saved by a lie. Only the truth shall set you free.
Time, save 9. Zion choir, so simply says. Zion choir, so simply says. Station time, save 9.
Capo Daniel, signing off.
The Cameroon Anglophone movement, where are we? The Southwest Elite Association, where are we? The dignitaries of Southern Cameroon, John Bufonja, Edi Eno, Estimona, Njo Litume. We thought that you were preparing this Southern Cameroon for our youth. It is regrettable to note that Southern Cameroon have been sold. The map of Southern Cameroon have been sold. Southern Cameroon.